Hey, Warrior Saints. Glad to have you beautiful people with us as we continue our conversation from yesterday.
Which then allows us to shift into the next, I think, topic that you've got, which is relationships. Because if we're actually going to be committed to relationships, then we really have to be honest about what's going on. And we have to be honest with ourselves and we have to be honest with others. And that commitment to church where that rubber keeps meeting the road, those are macro expressions of micro problems.
Yeah. I love it. Before you go on to the third one, just something you said triggered a great thought in my head. Was, like we're not always going to get our way.
Mm.
And that's one of the things that people, anytime someone runs from a church, let me rephrase that. Sometimes the priest or the deacon do inappropriate things, for sure. But those kinds of rare and random things notwithstanding, that anytime someone runs from one church to another, it's usually because somehow there's a dissonance inside. They're not getting their way. Something they don't, is happening that they don't want, or they, put forth an idea and there was a vote and their vote lost, and they run. And, the sacrifice coming back to being crucifixion. I mean, it's a sacrifice. I'm the pastor of this parish, Deacon Greg, you know that. I don't always get my way. There are times where I defer to you, to our youth pastor Christian, to, the ladies group, to an old man in the pew, or what a young child. I mean, sometimes I don't always get my way, right? But there's a commitment, so we do what we need to do. And, if you're committed, you're in spite of, not always getting your way.
Right. And that's why I said it's a macro example of micro opportunities, because in relationships, we are able to live out what it looks like, whether or not I'm getting my way. Right. Because relationships where you're not getting your way versus relationships, like, let me say it differently. You're not always going to get your way all of the time in a relationship.
Right.
Right. Like when my wife and I make decisions, it doesn't always mean that we just do whatever I want. I would be naive. She would be naive if either of us thought that everything we do is always about what we want. And if it was the case, I would have really expensive luggage all the time, because anytime the Facebook algorithm shows me something, I decide I need it.
Yeah.
And then I really want it.
Yeah.
And then I tell her I need it. And she's like, you do not need another duffel bag that is now $300, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not necessary. It's a small joking example, but it's the reality. We don't always get our way all the time.
Right.
And we as parents have to teach our kids that.
Yeah.
That's part of our relationship as parent, is having those hard conversations with them. You're not always going to have your way, which might mean, going back to the church thing, that at the end of the day, you're not going to your game on a Sunday, even though you really want to, because we don't do that as a family. And that's where it's difficult. That's where those questions start to erode. And I mean, so much of this stuff is just completely interconnected.
This whole idea of, the commitments that we make in our relationships, whether, I guess we can start on that with our spouse, but it trickles down to kids and everywhere else. But I mean, to jump off, with spouse, for those who are married, I mean, you start, like the joke, we don't do it in the Orthodox Church, but, I do, right? Like, I mean, that whole statement is ultimately when you go to marry someone, you're standing there, whether you speak or you don't speak. In the Orthodox Church, they don't say anything. But the statement is being made that you are here committing to this woman and to this man, one another, for the balance of your life, and that there will be 99% of the time where things are beautiful and awesome, and then what are you going to do with that 1% when it gets rough? And you are committed to it, right? And you've committed to the sanctity of this, to the monogamy of this. The word monogamy, monogamos, one wedding, like one marriage. In other words, you don't step out with other men or women. Whether it be, and I know that there are people doing it. Again, I'm not judging anybody. We've all dealt with it and seen people, but it's just like, that's what you're committing to. You are committing to love, for better or for worse. Again, we don't say that stuff, but I mean, when things are hard, when he or she is annoying, not that my wife is ever Clearly, I am never. But, you know, like when
Asking for a friend.
yeah, asking for it, yeah. But I mean, clearly, when they get annoying, or look, they may not even be annoying. They may just be perceived as annoying because you're in a bad place because you've had a hard day or you're tired or stressed or whatever. You know, when all that hard stuff comes, I mean, we're committed to, should be, the work of making that relationship awesome, not just tolerable.
Yeah. Because it's easier when things get difficult to cut bait and run
Totally.
than it is to stick it out, work through it, and put in the work that goes with it.
Right.
Now, you said we don't say those I do's and all of that stuff, and we don't in the Orthodox wedding. But what we do is we say, yeah,
do.
I did. I said do. What we do is we ask a very important question. Have you a good, free, and unconstrained will and a firm intention to take as husband or wife this woman or man that you see here before you? And we say, I have. At that point in the Orthodox wedding, we're married. It's done. We've got a firm intention. We've said we've got a firm intention. We've declared it publicly. That's it. Like we have the rest of the service and it keeps going, but that's it.
Yeah.
That's the rub.
Even in the early church, sorry to interrupt you, but I mean, correct me, you know liturgical history better than I. I mean, from what I know is that even in the early church, there was no marriage ceremony like we know. They would go to church and say, yeah, we want each other. And then the sealing of that pact was to take Holy Communion together. Is that right?
It's nice.
That's what I read, man.
I know.
All right. So anyways, but the point I'm leading to is that even if I'm off on that, the point is like, you're right. Once you're there, man, the rest is just God blessing this union that you've brought.
And to clarify, there is great debate right now whether or not the marriage service happened at Divine Liturgy or was always a separate thing that happened immediately following the Divine Liturgy, with the liturgy being the pregame, if you will, because the couple would come together at liturgically, then come together as man and wife, and then go and have their party and the banquet following. But the point is it's a commitment. It's a firm intention. It's something that you're getting into and staying into.
Yeah.
And once you make that commitment, then you live the rest of your life as honoring that commitment.
Yeah.
Your question, like I joke all the time in the premarital classes, our wedding rings are not I'm really on a Seinfeld kick today, are not a message to the outside world where we have these George Costanza-esque moments where I'm going to wear a wedding ring to start attracting other women because they only seem to be attracted to married men, right? Our wedding ring is a reminder to self of the promise that we have made to the other, so that we will continue the same way that we make that guarantee in our betrothal. We will honor the commitment that we have made. And the rings come as a scriptural reference from the book of Esther and the endurance of the promise that is made in the book of Esther between the king and Mordecai, her brother, that he will give them a nation, and he gives them the ring of the kingdom that he is giving to him as a sign of that promise that he will be allowed to live and be saved.
Yeah, it's great.
I know. I just threw down Esther. You're a little surprised.
No, I was like really very happy. I love it. The just going back to, I mean, keeping on those lines, this practical, application that we're working through. I mean, it's a mission. We said it earlier. I think it's not like just the moment of the marriage, or the moment of the wedding. It's the marriage, right? It's the whole life, and that commitment requires great sacrifice, as we've been saying. Like anything you commit to requires great sacrifice, and it does so within your relationships. And maybe just wrap this segment up just by saying that is not unique to a marriage. It is also, I would say, to parent-children relationships both ways, in the workplace, friendships, and to random strangers on the street.
Yeah.
Right? So that whole idea of, sacrifice, being crucifixional, really is it's the modus operandi of commitment and so on. Hey, Warrior Saints, thank you so much for being with us. If you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, and share. It helps us get the word out there. And if you want more, visit us at warriorsaints.org and subscribe to Understanding the Bible. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.